Hello. Today, as promised, we are going to read another source about the Spanish missions in California. I would like you to remember that we're going to be reading a number of sources about the missions and this experience. So this is just a different perspective. You do not have this worksheet at home, so you will need a piece of paper or your yellow notebook nearby, and here's my paper. And if you would like, you can copy this title, How Did the Spanish Missions, that's a capital, missions in California affect Native Americans? Okay, and we'll underline that title and make sure you write the date, April 8, 20th. Okay, so we're going to read this source, and as we read it, I really hope you pause the video after each question and try and identify it on your own. And so let's just write the number 1 here. And let's look at the directions first. It's saying to underline the main idea in this paragraph and paraphrase in your own words. So if you're in Miss Zoraida's class, I think you might really know what this word paraphrase is, because I think they spent a lot of time on it, even Miss Yen's class, but we didn't really get into it so much in my class. But the one thing I think my students will really know about this word paraphrase is I call it kid talk. So that means that you will underline the main idea, but then you will say it in kid talk, in your own words. So this is by the Native American Almanac, and it's adapted by the Newsy-LA staff. So I got this from the Newsy-LA website and I just changed it, adapted it into this format. So let's go. Colonization was a disaster for the Native Americans of California. Spanish colonization began in 1769. At the time, California was part of Mexico. The Spanish first set up a mission in the Native American village of Cosoy. The Spanish colonists later called it San Diego. So you need to go back here and underline the main idea here. So colonization was a disaster for the Native Americans of California. That does seem like a really important one to me. Spanish colonization began in 1769. Okay, there's a detail, but it's not the main idea. And I look back here. All of these seem like details, but colonization was a disaster for the Native Americans of California. That sure does seem like the main idea. So now you need to write that line in kid talk. Well, colonization was a disaster. Well, disaster is really bad for the Native Americans of California. Well, we know some words to replace that. So I'm going to start you off with it, and you can finish it at home. Colonization was, it said in the text, a disaster. Can you put a word in here for a disaster, a kid word? For the native. And I think that instead of saying Native Americans of California, you guys might have some other terms now to put here for the Native Americans of California. Let's move on now. This next question is, what was the purpose? What was the role of a mission? So what does a mission do is another way of saying this. What is a mission? Is another way of asking this question. So the Spanish colonists built forts to protect the missionaries, who were priests. Later, the Spanish established towns called pueblos. The Spanish forts protected missions. Missions were places built to spread Christianity. The Spanish also used them to expand their empire. Missions had a terrible effect on Native Americans. The Spanish colonists wanted to turn Native Americans into farmers and workers. The colonists created 21 missions to do this. They were like one long chain that stretched for 600 miles. So what is a mission? You're going to go back to the text. I'm going to take this highlighter. You're going to go back to the text and look for anything that's about the mission. The missions. Missions were places to spread Christianity. Okay, so I am not going to help you with this one, but that doesn't mean you don't do this. Number 2, what was the purpose of a mission? I will just set you up. The purpose of a mission was... Okay, and I think you could even do 2 sentences here about this. And so you can pause the video now and go back here and paraphrase. Write this evidence in Kid Talk. Okay, question 3 is both paragraphs 3 and 4. The question, how did the lives of Native Americans change? The Native Americans were baptized and forced to move from their villages into areas near the mission. I think a lot of you should know this word, baptized, from the Spanish word baptisma. But this is when, especially when you're a baby, if this is at La Iglesia, this is a bowl of very special water. And inside we call this holy water. Okay, there's the cross. And the priest, he blesses it. He makes it special. And then they put this water, they put it on the babies. Here's a baby. Whoop, that is not a cute baby. All right, there's a baby, baby. Okay, that's the leg, whatever. Okay, so you put the holy water on the baby and you baptize the baby. That wasn't a great drawing, but hey. Okay, so between 1769 and 1836, about 80,000 California Native Americans were baptized and forced into missions. Once baptized, Native Americans were not allowed to leave the missions. The Native Americans were forced to stop using their native languages, dress, food, and culture. So there's a lot in here about the Native Americans, so how their lives changed. They talk about baptism. They talk about their language, their dress, and their clothes. So you would go back here for number 3, please, and write, making this into a complete sentence. So, boom. The lives of Native Americans changed because, or however you want to write it. Alrighty, let's move on. This is a 4-page document, I believe. Whoa, we're going to be here a while. Oh, and there's one more line up here about the Native Californians, how their lives changed. Thousands died from European diseases, which we learned a lot about in yesterday's reading. So now it says, describe the lives of Native American girls. At the missions, Native Americans were closely controlled. At the age of 5 or 6, Native American children were taken from their families. Native American girls were locked up when not working or at church. They were freed only after they were married. Adults were forced to work without pay. The colonists punished Native Americans to make them give in to Spanish rulers. So, this is a very upsetting question. What were the lives of Native American girls like? So, again, the lives of Native American girls were blank. Were they happy? Were they sad? But then I want you to say because and give me evidence. So if you say that their lives of the Native American girls were difficult, I need to know why. I'm just taking a look at the next page. Maybe we'll pause at the end of this one. Okay, so Junipero Serra. We read about him in the textbook, so I hope he is familiar now. And the question is, why was Junipero Serra considered a hero? Junipero Serra, 1713 to 1784, started the first mission in 1769. He started 8 more by 1782, which led to the entire chain of missions. Pope Francis officially made him a saint in 2015. Many Catholics had wanted him to be a saint since the 1700s. Some of these Catholics believed Native Americans were better off because of the colonists. So this whole paragraph here is one point of view, one perspective. So in this paragraph, they talk about why some people think that Junipero Serra should be a hero or a saint. So if you can go back over here, this is question 5. Some people thought Junipero Serra was a saint because remember, pause videos so you can get this all written down. It can be your speed. Why did they think he was... Oh, I made a mistake here. Some people thought Junipero Serra was a hero. And if you wanted to add, and should be a saint, but you don't have to add that if you don't want to. You don't have to write your sentence this way if you don't want to. And then we'll just read this last paragraph, and that's where we're actually going to pause for today. Many others see things differently. They say that everywhere the Spanish put a mission, most of Native Americans are now gone. The Spanish took the land and crops. This is a word for plants. From Native Americans and mistreated them. Serra let these things happen. As a result, many do not believe he deserves to be a saint. So you can see there is no question for this paragraph, but I would like you to recognize that these two paragraphs show two different points of view. These people think that Junipero Serra was a hero and should be made into a saint. And these people over here do not think Junipero Serra was a hero, but instead they think that he allowed people to mistreat Native Americans, allowed them to take the land and crops. Okay, so this is where we will pause the video for today, and we will continue with this reading from paragraph 8 all the way to the next page. We will continue with that tomorrow. Have a great day.